So as it turns out, Sinn is not the only German company that can make really tool-tastic pilot's watches at affordable prices. Today on The Budding Watch Enthusiast, we're reviewing the Damasko DS30. Hey guys, and welcome to The Budding Watch Enthusiast. So on this channel, I chronicle my journey in watch collecting through watch discussions and watch reviews. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Today, as I mentioned up top, we are looking at the Damasko DS30. Now, Damasko is a brand that I had seen before, but I didn't really think much of their watches. I know that they are often compared to Sinn watches, as I mentioned up top. A thing that really struck me, and I mentioned this when I did my unboxing of this watch, was that there's a worn and wound feature that was done in Damasko that kind of walked through their manufacturing process that I really found fascinating and made me want to learn more about the brand. As it turns out, they are a pretty cool brand when it comes to making these tool watches that are incredibly over-engineered. So let's go ahead and take a look at the specs of this watch before we get into my review. So the case is made up of submarine steel, which compared to the normally seen 316L stainless steel that most cases are using nowadays, the submarine steel is much more scratch resistant. I've had this watch for about a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, and you guys can see there's not a blemish to be seen on the entire side of the case. Now, I'm not even the first owner of this watch either. So again, it's been holding up really well, not showing the normal like little nicks and scuffs that watches pick up. It does have a bead blasted finish across the entirety of both the side and back of the case. Now, it uses Damasko's sealed crown system. I don't usually pop crowns during reviews. This crown is pretty awesome. It definitely is very... It's rigid's not the right word. It's very deliberate. It's got a lot of strength in it. It takes a little bit of effort to pop it out. And it uses this sealing system that is proprietary to Damasko that it basically keeps the crown gaskets from wearing out over time. And when your crown gaskets wear out, water can start seeping in to the watch. So there's a lot more information about this on their website. I'm not going to go into great detail about the different technologies that they use because it's worth reading on their site. So definitely check it out. I'll go ahead and leave a link to their site down in the description below where you can check out their technologies. Of course, this does have a debossed Damasko D logo on the crown. We flip over, you get a screw-down case back, no nonsense, Damasko logo, serial number, necessary literature. That's it. You don't need to see the movement. This is a tool watch to the nth degree. And like I said, very bare bones, very matter of fact. You do have these lugs that have a very slight curvature and drilled lug holes as well, which makes strap changing a breeze. And guess what? With this watch, you're going to want to change straps all the time because you can pair almost anything with this. You do also have this flat sapphire crystal that does have anti-reflective coating both on the top and bottom of it. And the Damasko DS30, I have the first edition of this watch, which is 100 meters water resistant. The newer ones, I believe, are engineered now to 200 meters water resistance. Honestly, this thing probably could go in deeper than 100 meters. Not something I'm going to be taking deep sea diving anytime soon. But just so you guys know, if you do get one of the older ones, it's 100. The newer ones are 2. If we look at the dimensions of this watch, we have a width of 39 millimeters, a lug-to-lug length of 48 millimeters, a height of only 10 millimeters, they call it 9.9, I'm just going to say 10, and a strap width of 20 millimeters, of course the optimal size in my book. So we have this fixed bead-blasted bezel, which matches the rest of the aesthetic of the case, framing this pilot's style dial that you see here. Again, very bare bones, no nonsense. You get a matte black dial. You get the crosshair pattern on the dial, which is kind of a Damasko signature. Damasko logo at 12 o'clock. That's all you get on this watch. It is no frills. It is a tool watch, like I've said. You have these unframed sword-style hands that are painted black and then coated with super luminova. Very simple 60-minute track running along the outside of this watch with bolded hour markers and a double marker at 12 o'clock to help out with orientation. And if you see, too, also helping out the orientation, the markers at the cardinal positions, 3, 6, and 9, are a little bit wider than the regular hour markers and a little bit shorter. It's very subtle, but also very noticeable once you've seen it. And you do have this step-down date window at the 3 o'clock position. It's difficult to see because, of course, the background of the date wheel does blend in with the rest of the dial. The movement inside this watch is an ETA 2824-2. It is shockproof and anti-magnetic up to 1,000 Gauss, thanks to the, again, technologies that Damasko uses inside of their watches. Some of the features with this ETA movement is you do get hand winding, hacking, a quick set date, and the second hand moves at 28,800 vibrations per hour. Now, the accuracy of the movement is not listed on Damasko's website, so I have to assume it's a standard grade ETA. That said, mine has been performing anywhere between +0 and +3 seconds per day. And a lot of folks online that own this watch have been reporting similar things. So again, it is a standard ETA, but that's pretty impressive if it's just a standard grade movement. Now, this watch does come with this black leather strap that you see here. This is one of my favorite leather straps that I own. Very lightly decorated with just some accent stitching. You do get signed hardware, bead blasted again, just like the rest of the watch, but super supple out of the box, very comfortable to wear. And of course, like I mentioned, this being just a monochromatic tool watch, you're going to want to pair it up with other straps. Fortunately, it looks great with a near endless amount of combinations, different NATO straps, other leather straps. The only thing that might be tricky to pair it with is if you want a bracelet. It's going to look awful weird if you use like a brushed or polished bracelet with this. You're going to want to find a bracelet that is bead blasted, which is not always the easiest thing to do. And here's what the Damasko DS30 looks like on my 8-inch wrist. Again, the size of this watch is, it's as close to perfect as you can get. The only folks that might not be able to get on with this are folks with very small wrists. The lug-to-lug length might be a little too long for folks with, again, like extra small, I'm talking 6-inch wrist. But again, if you have a normal size wrist or a larger size wrist, this is going to wear beautifully. Again, perfect size, scale, and proportioning on this watch. So honestly, you don't expect finishing to be one of the first things that you're discussing on a watch that does have a bead blasted finish to the case. But I want to start with finishing with this watch because the finishing on the Damasko DS30 is impeccable. Now to be fair, I haven't experienced a whole lot of bead blasted finishes in my time. But that said, the bead blasting on this watch, it's even across the entire case. And thanks to the fact that it is submarine steel, it's likely to look just as good, a year or two after you buy it as it does on the day that you open it. Again, I've had this watch for over a month. I could not find a mark or scuff or scratch on it to save my life. So again, it's going to look solid probably for a good portion of the time that you own the watch. I gotta say, for a pilot style watch, for something that's a very basic design and a very basic aesthetic, even though it's incredibly clean and legible, it manages to have a very distinct personality. And that's achieved thanks to having, the crosshair dial that you see here, having the minute markers that are a little bit more elongated. It is inevitable to compare this watch to the Sinn 556i just because they are so similar aesthetically. But I find the layout of the DS30 just to be a little bit more lively and a little bit more bold in comparison to the Sinn. Now, even though the DS30 is not a monstrous watch, it feels like a tank. Like, it feels like this could withstand any beating that you throw at it, but it still manages to be very light and sleek and really comfortable to wear. I almost forget this watch is on my wrist on the days that I'm wearing it. If I was going to throw one criticism at this watch, it would be that the luminescence on it is good, not great. Like I said, it's not poorly done, and again, I'm not expecting incredible luminescence from a pilot's watch. I don't know, maybe it's just me being nitpicky and seeing the missed opportunity that you could have loomed up every single minute hand going around this watch. Might have looked really cool. So this watch is, I believe, $976 brand new. Prices vary, but if you go to Long Island Watch, for example, who's an authorized Damasko dealer, that is what they are charging for it right now. And again, when you look at the patented technologies, the extras that Damasko throws in on this watch, the value proposition, in my opinion, is through the roof on this thing. And I know you guys might say, do we really need the extra anti-magnetism? Do we need the self-lubricating crown? Do we need the submarine steel? And couldn't they have put this watch out at an even cheaper price without all that stuff? And yeah, sure, they could have, but then it wouldn't be Damasko. Like to me, that is one of the things that the brand hangs its hat on. And look, as watch nerds, I mean, anything other than, a basic three-hander with maybe a date to tell the time is going above and beyond. Having these cool features that are totally unnecessary in everyday use is, to me, one of the things that makes this hobby really fun, and it's cool to have a watch with that. I've really adored the DS30. I think if you guys are looking for a really rugged watch that you can wear every day, that works in a wide variety of situations, definitely give a look to Damasko. The DS30 is an excellent watch, one that I'm really glad that I've taken a chance on because I'm really enjoying it so far. So guys, that is it for my review of the Damasko DS30. If you guys found this review entertaining or informative, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. If you guys are new to the channel and want to see more of my content, hit that red subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you never miss a new episode. And if you want to see more pics of my watch collection, you can go over to Instagram, search for @buddingwatchenthusiast, and give me a follow there also. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all the next time.